one story is an adventure, and the story that I'm going to go through today is another favorite of mine called Itch, and it's about a boy called Ingingham Loft, and he has to try and save the world from a guy called Flower Jew trying to take these rocks that are really radioactive. Because like Flower Jew gonna give them to a company who may make a weapon out of it, or something that could win wars, but it'll be very bad for the world. I think the most interesting thing about this story is that Itch is all into the elements, the table of elements. And that's pretty cool because as a fan of the table of elements myself, um, it's kind of a connection between real life and story. But I think that the thing that could have been a bit more interesting about the story and made it more interesting was if they made Flower Jew a bit more of a villain, because he's just a science teacher that wants to give it to a company so that he can get reemployed. Like, they should have made him, like, want to make it into a weapon, where, well, the company does want to make it into a weapon, the radioactive rocks, but he really, the whole point of him giving it to him didn't really make sense, just to get his job back after some spillage at a oil rig. We don't really have that much information about Flower Jew's backstory. All we know is that he made a mistake at an oil rig that caused a spill and a lot of people died. But that's it. We don't know anything. And this story goes through 3 books. And I think that the most interesting one would be this one. The second one's a bit weird with another character who knows Flower Jew comes and nearly kills him. But I always forget her name. And the third one's pretty much just the same thing, but like different. That they're all based after each other, which is really cool. They're not just like adventures of it. It's actually like in this big timeline. And like, well, I think the coolest part about the whole entire thing is that like Itch is getting involved with like all this gases and poisoned his whole entire class on accident, and he blew off his eyebrows, which is pretty funny. Like, I think it's a pretty interesting story. Put away all the little tiny things that make it a bit bad. But like, if you minus the little tiny mistakes, it's a pretty good book. And I wish that there were other series out there, other people who would make series like this, where it's a story about people who are very interested in stuff, doing science experiments. Like, more stories like that would make things really interesting. And, like, let's say that a guy has a new thing to go with, he wants to make a horror story, and he's just going to make it like every single other average horror story. That's not going to really be so cool, because no one really is going to care about some raging psychopathic killer anymore. But people are going to be more caring about the new things. Like, there could be monsters, or like a facility that keeps monsters, or something other. I think that it's pretty cool, though, how this story is different from every single other adventure story. Because it's all science and facts, and you kind of learn a lot of stuff. Like, I learned from this that bananas have radiation in them. And that's pretty interesting, because I never knew that. Like, you learn stuff from series like these. And I wish there was more of these in the world, but there aren't that many, because, well, people want to just write an ordinary story and hope they get money for it. But there are some books out there where people do spend time writing it, like the Harry Potter series or the Lord of the Rings. They took a really long time because they're all very unique, unlike some horror stories. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on Itch, and hopefully I can make another video in this week. Bye.